Hello Designistas and welcome to CLO 3D. In today's video, we will be sewing this pleated dress. I will walk you through step by step from importing DXF patterns and placing the patterns onto the avatar to sewing them. Finally, I will show you how to use the pleat tool and render the dress for a finished look. Unzip the folder. First, let's unzip the folder. Next, I will go to CLO and click on the plus sign in the library panel. After that, I will navigate to my pattern folder, click on it to select, and then click on Open to confirm. As you can see, we have the folder linked to the CLO library for easy access. How to load the avatar and change her hairstyle. First, we want to load the avatar into the workspace. Simply go to the avatar folder and double-click on it to open. Then go to the Asset panel, where you have several avatars available. I will select Mia by simply double-clicking to load her. Next, let's change her hair by going back to the same avatar folder, and then double-clicking on the hair folder to open it. After that, select the red hair bun and simply double-click on it. How to load the DXF pattern into CLO workspace. To load the pattern into the CLO workspace, double-click on the dress pattern folder, then go to the Asset panel. After that, right-click on the DXF pattern and select Add to Workspace. By default, the settings will be Load Type, Add, Scale, Auto Scale, Rotation, Do Not Rotate, Reset Grain, Angle Maintain Original. Under Options, the Swap Cutting Line and Sewing Line, and Include Notches boxes are checked, and the Notch Position Ratio box is also checked. Next, click on OK to confirm. After that, we want to move the patterns away from the avatar. Then go to the 3D toolbar and select Reset 2D Arrangement, all to arrange the patterns properly. Modifying the patterns. Next, we will modify the patterns and remove some that we don't need. Let's remove these facings by using the Transform Pattern tool, marquee selecting, and pressing Delete for Mac or Backspace for Windows. After that, we want to merge these front skirt pieces together by using the Edit Pattern tool. Simply click on this pattern edge, press the Shift key, click on the next pattern edge, right-click, and select Merge. Next, we will use the Trace tool to turn this baseline into an internal line. Simply click on it, then press Return or Enter. After that, we will move 2 points on the pattern outline down past the internal line so we can cut this part of the pattern. Click on the internal line, right-click, and then select Cut. Next, let's remove this pattern. Using the Transform Pattern tool, click on the pattern, then press Delete or Backspace to remove it. We also want to remove the notches by using the Notch tool. Marquee select the notches, press Delete or Backspace to remove them. Next, we will delete these points using the Edit Pattern tool. Marquee selects most of the points except for the endpoint. Then press Delete or Backspace on the keyboard. After that, let's curve this line down a little by using the Edit Curvature tool. Click and drag it down until it reaches this guideline. We also want to turn these two lines into internal lines by using the Trace tool. Simply click on one, press the Shift key, click on the next one, and then press Return or Enter. Place the patterns onto the avatar and sew them. Next, we will place the patterns onto the avatar and sew them. First, let's freeze these skirt patterns by using the Transform Pattern tool. Marquee selecting these patterns, right-clicking and selecting Freeze. After that, we will sew the darts by using the Segment Sewing tool. Click once on one dart edge, then click on the next edge to sew, making sure the sewing notches are parallel. Finally, I will sew the neck collar together, and let's sew the front part as well. Then, we will place the patterns onto the avatar. Turn on the Show Arrangement Points by pressing Shift plus F. Next, I will switch to the Transform Pattern tool, click on the pattern, hover the mouse over the avatar, and click once to place the pattern. Repeat this for the next pattern. Let's hide the arrangement points by pressing Shift plus F again. After that, we want to arrange this pattern properly. Turn on Show Internal Line by going to the vertical toggle menu, clicking on Garment Display, and selecting Show Internal Lines. Then we will use the Fold Arrangement tool. Click once on the internal line, then click on the red arrow and drag it toward the back to create a fold. Do the same with the green arrow for the next line. Next, switch to the Select Move tool. Click on the pattern and bring it back a little. Click on the blue circle to rotate the pattern toward the back. Do the same for the next pattern. After that, we want to strengthen the pattern and simulate by clicking on the Simulation button. After that, we will place the front skirt onto the avatar. Let's unfreeze the patterns by marquee selecting them, right-clicking, and selecting Unfreeze. Click once on the front skirt, hover over the avatar, and click to place it. Bring the pattern down below the top. Next, we will sew the skirt to the top. Turn off the Show Arrangement Points. by pressing Shift plus F. Go to the 2D window and sew the darts using the segment sewing tool. Use the same tool to sew the skirt to the top, starting from the center and working outwards. Repeat the step on the opposite side. If there's an issue like missing notches, create one using the notch tool. Hover over the skirt waist, right-click, enter 4.21, and click OK. After that, switch to the Edit Pattern tool to see the notch. Continue sewing the skirt to the top using the segment sewing tool, and then simulate the garment. Next, we will sew the back skirt patterns to the top. Rotate the avatar, then turn on the Show Arrangement Points by going to the vertical toggle menu, then the Avatar Display and Show Arrangement Points. Use the Transform Pattern tool, click on the pattern, hover over the avatar, and click to place it. Bring the pattern down below the top. Repeat for the next skirt pattern. It's time to sew the skirt. Start by sewing the skirt center together using the segment sewing tool. Then sew the darts and finally the side seams. After that, simulate to see the result. Finally, sew both sides of the top to the skirt. How to sew the pleats onto the dress. To sew the skirt pleats, use the free sewing tool. Sew to this notch, starting from left to right, holding Shift and continuing to click until you reach the notch. Release the Shift key to finish. Next, place the pleats pattern onto the avatar, using the Transform Pattern tool. Click once on the pattern, go to the 3D window, bring the pattern over, right-click, and select Reset 2D Arrangement. Selected. Simulate by clicking on the Simulation button. Sew the side seams together using the segment sewing tool. Click once on the pleats, then on the skirt. Simulate to see the result, strengthen the pleats pattern, and simulate again. How to use the pleat tool for a pleated dress. To create pleats, use the pleat tool. Click on the pleat and select the pleat tool. Hover over the line, click twice to open the pleat window. Select Knife Pleats and set the number of pleats to 7. Click on the link icons to turn them on. Increase the start number to 2 so all the numbers match. Click OK to confirm. Switch to the Edit Pattern tool. Right-click on the page and select Lock All Pattern Outlines. Select all the internal lines. Go to the Property Editor and turn on Fold Rendering. Right-click on the page again and select Unlock. In the 3D window, select the pleat pattern, click, and drag it forward until it doesn't touch the dress. Right-click and select Reset 3D Arrangement. Selected. Finally, click on the Simulation button to simulate. How to split the front skirt. To split the front skirt, we will use the Trace tool. Click on this baseline, then press Return or Enter to change it into an internal line. After that, right-click and select the Cut and Sew function. Next, we will use the Edit Sewing tool to update the sewing. Simply click on the end point of the sewing, then drag it up until it reaches this notch. Do the same with the other sewing. Finally, simulate again to see the effect. How to sew the invisible zipper onto the back skirt. To apply the zipper, first, we want to freeze the patterns by selecting all the patterns except the back skirt patterns. After that, right-click and select Freeze. Next, we want to strengthen the back patterns. Simply marquee select both of them. Right-click and select Strengthen. We will then use the Editing Sewing tool to remove the sewing by clicking on the sewing. Then right-click and select Delete Sewing. Next, we want to simulate the garment. After that, use the Zipper tool. Click on it to select, then click once on the top edge of the center line, hover the mouse down, leaving a small gap at the bottom, and double-click to end the zipper. Do the same on the opposite side. Click once to start and double-click to end. Next, simulate to see the result. If there's an issue with the zipper not being even, you can either try to fix it or delete the zipper using the Select Move tool. Click on the zipper and press Delete or Backspace on the keyboard to remove it. Simulate again, then go to the Zipper tool and click on the top edge to start. Hover the mouse down and double-click to end. After that, sew the opposite side by clicking once to start and double-click to end. Finally, simulate to see the end result. Customizing the zipper to an invisible zipper. We want to change the tool to the Select Move tool, then click on the zipper. Next, go to the Property Editor and scroll down to the size. Change the teeth width to 0.1, then press Return or Enter to confirm, and change the total width to 0.3, pressing Return or Enter to confirm. Next, simulate again to see the zipper. After that, change the slider. While on the Select Move tool, click on the slider and go to the Property Editor. Change the stopper to closed end. Then, change the slider and puller to an invisible zipper. Finally, change the top and bottom to small. After that, simulate once more to see the end result. Apply the elastic and make the linings for the top. First, we want to unfreeze the patterns by using the Transform Pattern tool. Simply marquee select the patterns, then right-click and select Unfreeze. We also want to strengthen the pattern as well by marquee selecting all the patterns, then right-click and select Strengthen. Next, to apply the elastic, we will use Edit Pattern tool. Click on this pattern edge, then press Shift and continue clicking. After that, go to the Property Editor and turn on the elastic. Change the strength to 5 and press Return or Enter. Then change the ratio to 100 and press Return or Enter to confirm. Simulate to see the effect. We also want to apply the elastic on the back skirt patterns. Click on the back skirt pattern, press Shift, and continue clicking to select the opposite side of the skirt. Go to the Property Editor, turn on the elastic, then change the strength to 5 and the ratio to 100. Simulate to see the effect. Making the linings for the top. To make the linings, first freeze the skirt patterns using the Transform Pattern tool. Marquee selects all the skirt patterns, right-click, and select Freeze. After that, marquee selects both of the top patterns. Right-click and select Layer Clone, Under. Press Shift for the guideline to appear and click once to place the patterns. Next, hide the avatar, go to the vertical toggle menu, the avatar display, and Show Avatar. Applying the fabric. To apply the fabric, first unfreeze the patterns. Go to the Library panel, then double-click on the fabric folder to open it. Type Silk in the search box and press Return or Enter to confirm. Select Silk Charmeuse, click, drag, and drop onto the fabric to apply. Simulate to see the effect on the garment. Changing the color of the fabric. To change the fabric color, first freeze the pleats, then unstrengthen the rest of the patterns. Go to the Object Browser and click on the fabric. In the Property Editor, click on the color chip to bring up the color window and select a light green color to match the dress specifications. Change the fabric type to Fabric Silk/Satin. To see the shine, turn on High Quality Rendering. In the Property Editor, change the reflection intensity to 24. Apply the fabric onto the linings. To apply the fabric color onto the linings, go to the Object Browser, ensure the fabric is selected, and click on Copy. Rename this fabric Lining. Marquee select both linings, then click on the Assign button to apply the fabric. To change the color, go to the color chip, click on it, and change the color to cream. Click on Apply and Close. Apply the same fabric onto the neck collar. To apply the same fabric onto the neck collar, cut the collar using the Trace tool. Begin by clicking on the first line. Press Shift and click on the next line. Press Return or Enter to turn them into internal lines. Select both internal lines, right-click, and select Cut and Sew. Apply the same fabric as the bodice by clicking on the fabric and dragging it onto both collar pieces. Customizing a zipper. To change the zipper color, select the zipper using the Select Move tool. Go to the Property Editor, scroll down to the color chip, click on it to bring up the color window, and use the eyedropper tool. Click on the fabric to extract the color, hover the mouse over the color window, press Escape, and click on Apply. Return to the Property Editor, slide the sidebar down until you see tape, then click on Color. Use the eyedropper tool and click on the skirt fabric to extract the color. Hover the mouse over the color window and press Escape to exit the eyedropper tool, then click Apply. Changing the slider to Metal. To change the invisible zipper slider, click on the slider to select it. Go to the Property Editor, change the material type to Metal, Render Only, and use the eyedropper tool to match the dress color. Hover the mouse over the color, press Escape, and click Apply and Close. We also want to strengthen the pattern as well by marquee selecting all the patterns, then right-click and select Strengthen. Rendering the garment. To render the garment, unfreeze the pleat pattern and shrink the linings to 95%. Marquee select both linings, go to the Property Editor and change the shrinkage weft to 95%. Press Return or Enter to confirm. Simulate to see the effect, then stop the simulation. Unstrengthen the garment by marquee selecting, right-clicking, and selecting Unstrengthen. Hide the internal lines by going to the vertical toggle menu, selecting Garment Display, and clicking on Show Internal Lines to turn them off. Marquee selects both linings, go to the Property Editor, changes the shrinkage back to 100%, and press Return or Enter to confirm. Strengthen the patterns and simulate one more time to see the effect. Change the particle distance to 10. Marquee select all patterns, go to the Property Editor, scroll down until you see particle distance, and type in 10. Press Return or Enter to confirm. Finally, simulate to see the garment's result. Unstrengthen the garment by marquee selecting, right-clicking, and selecting Unstrengthen. Change the skin offset and modify the undergarment. First, show the avatar by going to the vertical toggle menu, then to Avatar Display, and turning on Show Avatar. To change the skin offset, go to the Property Editor. Change the skin offset to 1 and press Return or Enter. Next, to change the undergarment to nude, go to Skin Style. Click on Style Configurator, change the underwear to nude, and click OK to confirm. Simulate by marquee selecting All Patterns, right-clicking, and selecting Strengthen. Click the Simulation button. Finally, stop the simulation, unstrengthen the garment, and you're done. And there you have it, Designistas. I hope you enjoy this tutorial. Be sure to give it a thumbs up. This will help people in need find this video more easily on YouTube. Remember to follow me on Encoder Fashion for more CLO videos, focusing on pattern making.